but I definitely have a fear of passing out, which is funny because I've never passed out before. Anxiety, baby! We love being anxious about things that have never happened. Oh my gosh, hello! And welcome back to the Hard Feelings podcast. This is, of course, my mental health podcast where I talk about things like anxiety, depression, jealousy, rage. I always forget. I can never name more than that amount. But aka hard feelings. We have a really exciting episode this week because I have a really exciting and nerve-wracking, anxiety-inducing event coming up this weekend. I'm going to Guffball. So if you haven't heard of it, it's a music festival. It's 3 days long, and I am going to not all 3 of the shows, but I'm going to 2 of the 3. Either way, this is a lot for me. I'm excited because some of my absolute favorite artists in the world are gonna be there. Chappell Roan's gonna be there, and Sabrina Carpenter's gonna be there, so like, I'm really excited about that, but I'm also anxious. And as you can see from the title of this episode, this is about going to concerts as an anxious girly. Because although this is the first festival I've been to since like 2011, I have been to a few concerts within the last year, and every time, no matter what the venue, no matter who I'm seeing, no matter how large I know the crowd is gonna be, I get anxious. I just get anxious going to any events whatsoever, any large crowded events. Anything more than like going out to dinner makes me pretty anxious. Hey, sometimes I get anxious to go out to dinner. But especially going to concerts, there's like a lot that has to happen before you go to the concert. So today I want to give you some tips and tricks of things that make me feel better. I'm still in the prep phase right now. I haven't even been yet. This is the prime time beforehand, right? What helps us deal with anxiety? Planning. At least that helps me deal with anxiety. So I'm gonna tell you how I plan out my like concert routine, what I put in my festival bag, what I take with me to make me feel less anxious, because I've got some good stuff here, and I have brought it to concerts in the past and felt a lot less anxious than concerts where I didn't bring this stuff to. So if you're an anxious person like me and you like going to music festivals or like going to concerts and you want some tips on how to feel a little less anxious about it, then just keep on watching because I'm getting to it right now. First things first, earplugs. I know you're probably like, I'm too freaking cool for that, dude. I can listen to loud music. I just want to live in the moment. I'm telling you, these are just good to have. You might not even take them out and put them in. I have the Loop headphones, which I will say are a little pricey, but honestly, they're worth it because they're really good quality and they look really cute. Like, look, when I put it in my ear, yeah, so you can barely even see it, and it kind of just looks like I have like a cute little like piercing or something. And what I love about the Loop headphones is that they don't completely block out sound. I believe I have the ones, I'll link the exact ones I have down below, but I believe that I have the ones that are intended for concerts. So what it does is it's basically like, imagine you got your headphones turned up all the way and then turn it down like halfway. It's not like you're gonna miss any of the music, because I remember when I heard fellow anxious people talking about wearing earplugs to concerts, I was like, I don't think I need that because I still want to hear the music. Like, yes, do concerts sometimes feel way too loud and I can like feel the bass in my heart and it makes me more anxious, but I still want to hear the concert. These headphones are the perfect solution to that because it just makes it quieter. It's not like you're not gonna hear anything. The only thing, full disclosure, we'll give you a warning for this because I feel like nobody said this before I bought these, is that if you're singing along to the music, you're gonna hear yourself a little bit in your head. So it doesn't really bother me because I feel like there's other people singing and like the music itself is still so loud, but like just don't be shocked when you hear your own voice inside your head. I still think it's absolutely worth it. I brought these to the Taylor Swift Eras Tour last year. Didn't end up using them during Taylor Swift, but I used them during a couple of the openers, and I was like, wow, these are amazing. I am not missing a single thing. I'm still hearing everything. It's just at a much less intense volume, because you know, a lot of times if you go to a festival or if you go to a really long concert where there's openers and everything first, sometimes it feels like by the time you get to the main act, you're like vibrating with how loud the music has been. I don't know, maybe that's a me thing, but I'm not gonna say that's a me thing because you're an anxious girly too. You clicked on this video because you're also anxious, so I assume you're also a little more sensitive to sounds. And yeah, these are a big help. So I will definitely be putting these in my festival bag, and they're so teeny tiny too. I love them. Another thing I absolutely have to have with me when going to a concert is this portable charger. I really like this one specifically because of how small it is. A lot of portable chargers are really big and heavy, and then you feel like it takes up the entire space of your bag. I'll show you. I have this tiny little bag that About Face very kindly sent me. I'm going to the concert with them this weekend, and look at how it fits. Like, I could put it sideways. It just like barely takes up any space whatsoever. I do already have one. Let me take my makeup out of here for now. Oh, no. Let me put all my things in there so I can show you how everything just fits really nicely in this portable charger. Doesn't take up a lot of room. The other reason I like this portable charger specifically is because it has multiple chargers on it. So it's got the Android chargers. It has 2 different Android chargers. I'm sure that's not what they're called, but it's got the one that's shaped like that, and it's got the one that's a little more flat, and then it's got the iOS charger on this side. So if you like want to bring a camera with you or something too, or if you have an Android phone or an iPhone, like this is just really great for that. Just make sure you charge it beforehand. All you have to do is push the button on top and it shows these lights on the side. Mine has 3 lit up right now, which means it's almost fully charged. It should have 4 when it's fully charged, and it has really good battery life in itself too. Like when I took this to the Eras tour, I believe I got home and it still had 4 lights on it, even though I used it through a good amount of the concert. I also swear, I'm pretty sure this is a lightning charger because this charges my phone faster than my actual wall plug-in charger does. And the reason why I'm including this in the Anxious Girly concert tips is because I don't know, I just didn't bring a portable charger to concerts before because I didn't feel like I had the room. You know, I was so worried about getting my bag checked and everything, which we're gonna move on to that next. Reading the bag policy online is worth your time every single time. But yeah, if you're an anxious girly like me who gets nervous about the bag policy, this fits really nicely in a small bag, and it's gonna make you feel so much less anxious too, because you don't have to worry about your phone dying, and then you don't have to worry about getting stuck somewhere and not being able to call a car or an Uber or access your phone to pay for the subway. Like, isn't it amazing in 2024 how much anxiety having a dead phone induces because of how many things in our society rely on our phones? Kind of crazy. Get you a portable charger. I don't think this one was very expensive. I might have caught it when it was on sale, but like I said, for the size alone, and it's light too. Like this is a really good one. All right, let's move on to the bag policy. At risk of sounding like a big dork, I read every bag policy of every venue I ever go to. I went to a New York Liberty game with my boyfriend last week. That's the New York WNBA basketball team. They won. Go Libs. They were so freaking good. But yeah, I looked at the bag policy before I went there too, because you know what? I would rather take the time beforehand than get to the venue and have things be confiscated, because I know myself as an anxious person, if anything gets confiscated, like that is what I will be focusing on the rest of the night, or I won't go in, right? Depending on the thing that's getting confiscated. Like, it is so much better to know what's allowed and not allowed, because every venue is so freaking different. I wish they were all universal and we could all just like know what things you can and can't bring, but definitely take the time to look online, because also some venues allow more things than you would think they would. Something that blew my mind about seeing, I know I keep talking about the Eras tour, but that was like a big concert. You know, she performed for almost 4 hours and there was 2 openers. Like, it was a really long concert. It was a day-long event. But I'm so happy I read the bag policy for that one first, because it said you could take in a water bottle with you, which is amazing. I feel like so often you're not allowed to bring any food or drink with you, and this one you could bring your own water bottle. It just had to be empty. I believe you could bring like, you know, like a Poland Springs or plastic water bottle with you, and it had to be completely sealed, or you could bring an empty water bottle with you. So I got a collapsible one. I don't know where it is right now to show to you, but I'll try to find a picture. It just was really convenient because you could crush it down like on my way to the concert. And then when I got to the concert, they have water fountains in the venue. So I was able to get myself some water. And listen, I know water fountains can be a little grody. I know what it's, but I would rather drink a little bit of grody water than be dehydrated and pass out. I try to buy a water when I get to a concert. I know they're expensive. Do it anyways, especially if you're gonna be drinking. You gotta drink water, dude. And if you're like me and on an SSRI, if you're on an antidepressant or anxiety medication, you need to stay hydrated because apparently SSRIs make us more prone to dehydration. That is the only like side effect I'm on Prozac, by the way, fluoxetine, generic brand. But that is like the one thing I definitely notice is that I get dehydrated more. So already on a regular day, I gotta stay extra hydrated. But if it's gonna be a festival day, I really gotta stay hydrated because you're gonna be standing up a lot more than you typically do, waiting in lines a lot more. And yeah, especially if you're gonna be drinking. I try not to drink a ton at concerts because I get really anxious about passing out. I don't know if there's a name for a fear of passing out, but I definitely have a fear of passing out, which is funny because I've never passed out before. Anxiety, baby! We love being anxious about things that have never happened. In my head, passing out is just like the scariest thing that can possibly happen because you can fall and you can hurt your head and you don't know where you are, and it just makes me so anxious. I will be drinking a lot of water before the concert. One nice thing about concerts, they got a lot of bathrooms. I'll be drinking a lot of water before the concert. I'll be drinking a lot of water at the concert. Another thing to do before the concert that I wrote down on my notes here is to eat first. Even if you think that you're gonna eat when you get to the concert, like you're just saying, whatever, I'm gonna pay $20 for a hot dog, let's do it. Still eat beforehand, because like I was just saying before, you're gonna be standing around a lot, standing in line a lot. You don't know how long it might be until you get food. You know, you might intend to get food right when you get there, but then what if you get there and the lines are crazy long, so you decide to like wait in line for merch instead. Like, I know as anxious people, we love to plan, and planning makes us feel a lot better, but we also have to acknowledge that the plan might fall apart and the plan might go awry because there are things beyond our control. And things we can control is at least making sure that our body is nourished, and so we have the energy to deal with these changing circumstances. So yeah, definitely eat before you go. Put a granola bar in your purse to eat it on the train. Now have a full meal before you go. I'm gonna double down on this one and say have a full meal. You know, at least make yourself a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Get some protein in there because you're gonna be standing and sweating. And also, can we talk about the fact that our brains burn a lot of calories, and especially as anxious people, our brains burn even more calories? My therapist and I were talking about that a few weeks ago, and she was like, yeah, like the reason why you feel so absolutely exhausted after going through an anxiety spiral is because your brain used so much energy for that you either need to like eat or sleep, and probably both. So please drink water before you go. Please have a meal before you go. And if you're not planning on eating at the concert, I don't know, look online, see what the policy is about bringing food in. A lot of the times they don't want you to bring food in. But this is like anxiety advice, but also just thrifty advice. Look around at the venue. A lot of people get in the first food line they see because they see that it offers a lot of food. But I'm telling you, some of these vendors are a lot cheaper than others. When we went to the Era store, there was a line wrapped around the stadium of people waiting for $20 hot dogs. My boyfriend and I found a vendor that had nobody waiting at it, this tiny little vendor off in the corner selling gyros for $13. So instead of eating a $20 hot dog, I got to have a $13 gyro, which was delicious, by the way. Yeah, when at the Liberty game, we got really good food too. We got jerk chicken sandwiches. They were so good, and there was like no line over there. Always take the food vendor with no line. I promise you it's not indicative of bad food. But you gotta eat, okay? I don't care if the concert's only like a couple hours long. If it's only a couple hours long, eat right before and eat right after, because it's gonna take a lot of energy out of you. Remember to nourish your body, okay? Ooh, I meant to mention this tip earlier, but this one has to do with what time you get to the concert. I wrote down, get there early, but also be reasonable. I am somebody who cannot arrive anywhere less than 15 minutes early. It's just not physically possible for me. I've tried intentionally being late to things before and still ended up being 15 minutes early. I'm a Virgo and I'm anxious. Who knows? But when going to a concert, really keep in mind what time doors open and what time stuff actually starts. Because yeah, you might want to get there early, of course, to go to the bathroom when you get there, get some food, wait in line for merch. Like, keep in mind the things you want to do before the concert starts and how much time that reasonably takes, because sometimes you'll get to a concert way too early and it's like you're just standing in line outside, and if you bought a ticket to the show, you have an assigned seat. Like, I understand wanting to be in the front of of the line to get into the venue faster, but you just have to consider the trade-off with that. And as anxious people, at least in my personal experience, waiting in line is my hell on earth, especially if that line is not moving because you have to wait for the doors to open. At the Taylor Swift Eras Tour, we got there at like 4:30, and I think doors opened at 5:30. We probably could have gotten there a little bit later, but you know, that wasn't too bad. But just don't get to anything super early because you're just gonna be standing around, and I know for me, standing around makes me more anxious. You know, you'll have your portable phone charger with you, so play on your phone all you want, but for some reason, playing on my phone doesn't make me less anxious. I see a lot of people who that works for, and trust me, I doom scroll constantly. I'm always playing on my phone to distract myself from other things, but for some reason when it comes to like waiting in line to get somewhere, I just have to sit there and stare in front of me. Like I can talk to the person I'm with. I don't know, maybe it's the whole idea of like being out in public and being on my phone and therefore being distracted and not being able to do an ocular pat down on everyone around me. But yeah, I just like playing on my phone distracts me for a very short period of time when it comes to waiting in line. So just don't get there too early, you know? You're just gonna be anxious if you get there too early. Also, look at the train schedule ahead of time. If you're taking public transportation, this is for my city folks. I have been to events before where we didn't look at the public transportation beforehand, and we had to take a very expensive Uber back to the city because we didn't realize that the train stopped running after a certain time, and we didn't realize that the shuttle bus that was running only took cash. So do your research on your transportation ahead of time. I know I get really anxious about like the transportation part of going to large events. Like that really makes me nervous just because like crowded public transportation, traffic, even if I'm not taking public transportation and driving, like then you have to worry about traffic. There's anxiety inducing things on both public transit and taking a car. But anyways, just plan it out ahead of time. Check the train schedule, bus schedule, etc. ahead of time. Fill up your gas tank ahead of time so you don't have to worry about it. Look up the parking situation ahead of time. The nice thing about these event spaces is that they have really detailed policies on their website. You can always call if you have questions, and I know it feels like it's a lot to do or whatever, but like we've said before, at least what really works for me is planning ahead. Reading the policies. I'm a policy hound, girl. I love reading a good policy. I love knowing the rules before I go somewhere so I don't get in trouble. It just makes me feel a lot better and a lot less anxious about going to an event. And that way when I get to the event, I can just focus on having fun. Something I struggle with sometimes with going to concerts and stuff is living in the moment. Because there are so many overstimulating things, it's a big like sensory overload going to a concert because there's so many other people around you and they're screaming and there's a lot of different smells going on from all the food and the sweat and the pyrotechnics. But yeah, it can be an overstimulating place to be, so it can be tough sometimes to live in the moment. You know, we do so much preparation before events as anxious people that it almost builds them up to be bigger than they are. Like for me, this Gov Ball that I'm going to this weekend, I've known about for the past couple weeks. So it's something that's just been kind of like snowballing into a bigger worry in my head every day closer because I'm like, oh my gosh, it's getting closer and I don't know what I'm gonna wear and I don't know, it's gonna be so crowded. Ah! But now my bag is packed. I've read the bag policy, I've obtained all of the information that I need, I've read that website thoroughly, and I don't feel so anxious anymore, and I'm trying to just focus on having fun. That's all my tips that I have for going to concerts as an anxious girly, and now we're gonna move on to the mental health bop of the week, which is by one of the artists that I'm seeing at Gov Ball this weekend. It's Pink Pony Club by Chappell Roan. Oh wait, let me change my earrings. I just got these earrings and they're Chappell Roan inspired earrings. They're little pink cowboy hats with stars under them. I have to put them on when I talk about Pink Pony Club. How is Pink Pony Club a mental health bop of the week? Well, that's because when I put it on, I can't stop dancing and it makes me feel amazing. I saw something the other day that said that people with ADHD tend to listen to faster pop music more, and like a lot of them tend to be like ravers because the fast beat of pop music is soothing or is like stimulating. to your brain. I clearly remember that fact very vaguely. Don't have a source to share with you, but I buy it. I absolutely buy it because I read that or watched that TikTok or whatever, and immediately I was like, Pink Pony Club. Pink Pony Club is drugs to me. Pink Pony Club is, I shouldn't call it drugs. Let me call it supplements. Pink Pony Club is like a B12 shot immediately. That immediately kicks in because it just makes me feel so good. Something about the beat of that song really does make you want to like bounce, and it makes you want to like run in place too. That's something that like Chappell Roan does a lot when she performs. She's like always like bouncing and kind of like running and stuff, and you just feel like you have to do that when you listen to that song. I had a dream about this song the other night. I had a dream that we found out that Beyonce ghost wrote that song. She didn't. It was written by Chappell Roan herself. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I gotta go eat something. My brain's burned too many calories today. I had a lot of things to be anxious about today, and I haven't eaten in a while, and I'm feeling it now. Takes a lot of energy to podcast, too. You wouldn't think because of how rambly I am and how disorganized I appear to be, but I do have notes here, and I did prep. And I filmed a lot of other stuff today, too. Sorry, I'm not trying to complain at the end of the video. Let's be honest, if you've listened, watched to the end of the video, then we're clearly very close friends. And I appreciate you so much for listening. Let's wrap up the episode. Thank you so much for listening to yet another episode of the Hard Feelings Podcast. I appreciate you so much. If you're curious about the makeup on my face today, I'll pop the details down below for you. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok if you like more makeup stuff like that. And yeah, I'll talk to you next week with another new episode. Bye, take care of yourself.